Chicago Tonight, Black Voices is made possible in part by Fifth Third Bank and by the support of these donors.
At Fifth Third, we believe when diverse voices are heard and empowered, communities are made stronger, lives are made better, and the future holds greater promise for all. That's why we're proud to support Chicago Tonight Black Voices. Together, we can make a difference. Together, we can drive change.
Good evening and welcome to Chicago Tonight Black Voices. I'm Brandis Friedman. Thanks for sharing part of your weekend with us. On the show tonight, believe it or not, there is still a lot of summer left. We'll talk with youth organizations about low or no cost activities Chicago teenagers can do right now and through the fall. The journey from criminal defendant to stable tenant starts here in drug court. How Cook County agencies are teaming up. The state's ban on evictions is coming to an end next month, but there are opportunities to apply for rental assistance. We'll share those details.
The goal is to do a rubbing of the building. It was really to mark time.
And how an artist is using graphite to document the impact of one of the city's most prominent cultural institutions. First off tonight, we are already halfway through July, and after a year being cooped up inside, many of Chicago's teens are ready to get back out there and enjoy the all too fleeting days of summer. So what is out there for teens to do to keep them engaged, active, and maybe even make a little money while staying safe? There's more out there than one might think. Joining us now to talk about what their organizations have to offer Chicago's teens now through the rest of summer are Pastor Phil Jackson, founder of the Firehouse Community Arts Center in the North Lawndale community, George Colon, club director at the Peterson McCormick Boys and Girls Club in the Uptown neighborhood, and Kaniquia Howell, executive director of the South Shore YMCA. Thanks to all of you for joining us. Kaniquia, let's start with you, please. We're halfway through summer. Most activities like camps and programs are already in progress. What do you all have available for teens right now up till August or through August?
Sure. So during the pandemic, we switched to a mostly reservation model just to manage our capacity limits. But as things start to open up, we offer open gym. We also allow teens to utilize our fitness centers. We give them a fit pass that just teaches them how to properly use the machine so that they don't hurt themselves while they work out. We also have fitness classes that are open to teens. We have a multitude of volunteer options, leaders clubs, mentorship programs, and there are still some camp options that are available to teens.
George Colon, what about you all?
Hi, well, thanks for having me here, first of all. I'm delighted to be a part of this panel and being a 20-year veteran with Boys and Girls Clubs of Chicago. We currently have 20 club locations that are spread out throughout the city. So we have our presence in many communities, and basically our doors are open right now for summer day camp, but recognizing the importance of keeping the teens involved too. That is usually the time that we incorporate some of the teens into some of our ultimate teen programs like Keystone, which is a program that's catered for 14 to 18-year-olds, and it's really a leadership program that focuses in on academic success, career preparation, and community service for our teens. We recognize that teens during the summertime, they have a lot of family responsibilities. So finding jobs is also key for them. So I'm just blessed to be a part of an organization that can offer some of those opportunities for young folks.
And Pastor Phil Jackson, how's it been getting and keeping kids engaged in the summer? What are some of the challenges there? How might it be different this summer compared to what would be a typical summer in the past?
Well, a typical summer would be that we would have over 107 kids a day or thereabouts in the building at an array of different times. Not all at one time. Our building's 10,000 square feet. We don't use every inch of it at this point, but we'd have to juggle it. So right now we're about 50 kids a day, right? And we work with an array of different movements of young people, from dance to go-karts. Young people are building go-karts, to young people learning social media, how to promote and market things in North Lawndale so that you would know that there's an art festival in North Lawndale on August the 7th, and you're learning how to promote it in your own neighborhood, in your own community, right? And then we have open mic poetry every Wednesday. And so the movement has been slow to kind of tap on the shoulders of young people because they've been in the house. So we've gone door to door, we've gone to the mall, we've gone to places where we know they may hang out if they're not at school. Whereas before, we're in the schools every day, tapping on the shoulders of young people, and so they would know, directly to come to us for different programmatic pieces. So it's been a challenge back and forth, but we've got a great number, about half of the normal number that we would normally work with. And yet there's some good synergy about what we're going to do in the fall with these young people and others who are looking to partner with us.
Kaniqua Howell, back to you. What have you been hearing or seeing so far from young people? Are many of them eager to come and spend some time with you and your activities because they've been cooped up, or are more of them disengaged and it's hard to get them involved?
Actually, both. So what we have noticed in our teams and also our younger youth is during the pandemic, they have forgotten how to interact with one another because they've been in such a virtual space or isolated. And so one thing that we're reinforcing within not just the Southside YMCA, but all of our YMCAs throughout the Chicagoland area is that social emotional learning and learning to recreate those connections with people and teaching them just the proper way to go about it. Because again, people have forgotten how to connect with one another, how to speak to one another. And so that's something that we've adjusted in just our regular interactions so that we can make sure that people, once again, like as a social service agency, we feel that it's our responsibility to just teach that to our community. And so we're reinforcing that in our programs, in our informal conversation, and also reinforcing to our community that we are open and that we are a safe space, and just allowing people to just come in and get the feel of that connection to community again.
And George, I know that Boys and Girls Club of Chicago, you all have job opportunities for youth as well. What can you tell us about those?
Yes, well, like I said before, with our Keystone program, that is one of the programs that we actually work with our young folks to teach them a lot of entrepreneurs skill sets. One other program that we really have that focuses primarily on that age population of 16 to 24 years of age is a program called Great Opportunities, or at Boys and Girls Clubs of Chicago, we refer to it as the GO program. And yeah, it's a wonderful program. It's a youth development program that's designed to, to assist these young people, to help them with their education and to expose them, towards those paths, that pathway that they need to be successful, whether it's attending college or a career. This program, it provides the education, it does the employment. It gives the teens that experience to be successful. We have a partnership actually that's coming up really, really soon with our teens. So it's a unique employment opportunity that they have. It's a program with AK, which Abercrombie and Kent. So this program, it actually gives the teens the opportunity to travel. They're going to be traveling to the mountains in the Northwest, actually coming up in a few weeks, if I'm not mistaken. But basically, they're going to go out there and have an opportunity to stay. They're going to be roughing it out in the woods, and they're going to learn about the hospitality industry.
I'm sure it'll be a new experience for a lot of them that they're probably excited about. Absolutely. And packing to get ready for. Pastor Phil Jackson, absolutely. You talked about, the challenges with getting young people engaged and keeping them involved. How important is it that they have activities in a safe space to go?
Well, it's powerful, especially in North Lawndale. I've been here 28 years serving youth and young adults. We bought this fire station in 07 to complement the work that we've been doing. And the challenges are the issues on the street, violence on the street, and the void of what it is that's out there for them. I think there's like one program for every 398 young person in North Lawndale. It's been that way since 2011, and so we need more access to resources to where we can have day and night programming for various young people and various types of young people, because we have to make sure on our end, right, that we're not bringing in some young folks who we're working with who have crazy background that may see somebody in that spot and then it becomes an issue because of what happened with their brother or sister. So we have to juggle it like it's a balancing act. And so that's what I mean, day and night programming. So, you've got that, you've got just challenges overall because of COVID, because of other parents and their desire to, respectfully keep their child safe. So keeping them in or limited to the amount of time. And then you got a group of parents that just don't care. Go on outside, been inside too long. So they're just trying to catch them to woo them to what we're doing. So we do have employment opportunities for our young people. So a lot of our young people this summer, all 50 or 52 young people are getting paid in the work that we're doing this summer.
Okay, it sounds like an excellent opportunity for them, and I think a lot of us have heard similar voices telling us to get outside when we were kids as well. So I want to thank all of you for joining us, Pastor Phil Jackson, George Colon, and Kaniquia Howell.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Congratulations. Good work.
1 year ago, America lost a lion of civil rights history. Here's a look at the life and legacy of the late John Lewis.
Someday when we do finish that long journey towards freedom, when we do form a more perfect union, whether it's years from now or decades or even if it takes another 2 centuries, John Lewis will be a founding father of that fuller, fairer, better America.
May he rest in power. Breaking the cycle of drug and alcohol addiction is a challenge made even tougher once the criminal justice system gets involved. And that can lead to even more struggles like finding work and housing. To solve for at least one of those, a new Cook County program teams agencies to help those recovering from addiction take cover in their own homes. After a year and a half, this apartment has become more than just a home for 33-year-old Carla Shaw.
It feels great. Like I know I have somewhere to go to. I have a roof over my head. I have my baby.
4-month-old son Jalen is the first of Carla's 4 children to be able to come home from the hospital with his mother drug-free. Carla says she spent 15 years addicted to drugs, living a life in the streets.
I was trafficked at a young age and I didn't know until I actually got in the program and they talked about it, and then I realized I was trafficked and it was hard.
It was another criminal case that brought her here to Cook County Circuit Court Judge Charles Burns and his drug court, where defendants get addiction treatment and other resources.
One of the tenets of this program is that people are going to fail. I mean, I'm not looking to send people to the penitentiary for mistakes they make. As long as they are honest and they are committed to their recovery, we'll continue to work with them.
Carla is not only a graduate of the program, she was the speaker at a recent graduation.
Like many of you, my journey started when I was young. My home was filled with trauma.
But after treatment and graduation, she still encountered a familiar problem: finding affordable housing. Judge Burns says almost half of drug court defendants come into the program with no permanent housing.
But once they got through treatment, they were going back to the same neighborhoods where they grew up in. And unfortunately, those neighborhoods had a lot of danger and a lot of temptation for them.
I was in night housing because a wife of the landlord didn't want me there because of what I used to do. and then of my credit score or something.
So Burns partnered with Cook County Housing Authority Director Richard Minacchio.
It's hard enough to get affordable housing when, you haven't been through the criminal justice system. You don't have other barriers to overcome. But it's doubly hard when you do have these barriers.
2 years ago, they started a program to provide housing choice vouchers to 25 graduates. Recipients pay 30% of their income towards housing, and the Housing Authority pays the rest. It's how Carla earned this one-bedroom apartment in Melrose Park. And it's also a shift from typical public housing rules that prevented people with criminal justice backgrounds from having access.
It's only been recently that publicly assisted housing has sort of seen the light. And, the days of the one strike and you're out, those are the old days. And it's taken a while, I think, to get over that hurdle.
The National Association of Drug Court Professionals says there are about 4,000 drug courts across the country. But this partnership may be one of a kind.
We have the resources to do it. We have the opportunity to do that. We have partnerships, we have agencies, we have federal funding, we have state funding. We should do this. We should turn things around. There's too many times that we've just ignored these people and looked at them as outcasts and not treated them as people that are struggling with the disease.
Judge Burns says barely 4% of graduates commit another crime within a year of finishing, making people like Carla worth the investment. 10, 15 years ago when you were still in your addiction, did you see this future for yourself?
Never. Like, if you would have asked me what was I doing, I thought I basically would have thought I was going to die. I thought I was going to die of my addiction because that's how bad I was out there.
But today, Carla's home is also an office where she mentors other survivors. With this new lease on life, she's planning to become a certified alcohol and drug counselor with dreams of owning her own home, where she'll be able to have all of her children under one roof. Judge Burns says the pandemic was especially challenging for his court. 5 participants died of drug overdose since the pandemic began, and court officials are working to reestablish contact with about 35% of participants. We should also point out that when defendants complete drug court, the charges that brought them to court are expunged, though they may still have some others in their background. And the Housing Authority of Cook County says it's also hoping to expand the voucher program to other problem-solving courts like mental health or veterans courts. Up next, how those impacted by the lift on eviction bans can apply for rental assistance. Stay with us. After more than 17 months, the state's ban on evictions due to the COVID-19 pandemic will come to an end next month. And residents who've lost their jobs or found their paychecks scaled back will want to know about a deadline for assistance that expires tonight. WTTW News reporter Heather Sharon joins us now with more on what to expect. Welcome back, Heather. So we know Governor J.B. Pritzker made the announcement earlier in the week. What dates do concerned residents need to be keeping in mind?
Well, people need to know that eviction filings will be allowed starting August 1st, but those orders, once they're issued by a judge, won't be enforceable until after August 31st. So it's a little bit of a grace period as this moratorium comes to an end. The governor said that this will provide an orderly way for the courts to catch up after what's going to be perceived to be a huge backlog.
Why August 31st? Why is that the date?
Well, the national moratorium issued by the Centers for Disease Control will end on the 31st of July. So in Illinois, people will have a little bit more time. But the governor wants things to start to get back to normal, and he wants landlords to sort of have a light at the end of the tunnel because many of them have not gotten any rent throughout the pandemic and are facing foreclosure.
A ripple effect. So what can residents do for assistance then?
Well, the deadline to apply for state rental assistance grants is today. They have to apply by midnight tonight, and that could provide up to $25,000 to provide for 15 months of rent, a year behind and three months in the future. The issue is, however, is that the state has already gotten more than $774 million of requests in grants and only has about $500 million available. But there will be another round in the fall with the next round of federal relief coming. So state officials are encouraging people to get into the line now and get the process started.
Do we know how many people, how many renters and tenants will be affected once this ban is lifted?
We don't. Housing advocates say that a tsunami of evictions is looming. In Chicago, there was a study that showed that maybe as many as 20,000 people could be facing eviction. Landlord groups say it's not going to be that bad, even though they have lost out on over $1 billion of rent from Illinois residents since the pandemic began. Nobody's quite sure what's going to happen as of September 1st.
And Heather, you mentioned it, but do we know how the eviction ban these past 17 months has affected landlords and other housing providers?
Well, they've certainly been sort of caught between a rock and a hard place, because we've heard the governor talk about how it was so important to keep people in their homes to prevent the spread of COVID-19. But at the same time, those landlords have bills to pay, mortgages, utilities, and people haven't been paying rent. So they've been falling behind on their bills, and they have been really pleading for help, which is why so many of them were so pleased to hear the governor's announcement this past week.
Okay, obviously a story for you to follow, so I'm sure we'll be talking about this further in August and beyond.
Yes, absolutely.
Heather Sharon, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Brandis.
And you can read Heather's full story on our website, where you can find a link to apply for rental assistance. That is all at WTTW.com/news. Up next, a local artist honors the country's oldest African-American art center with graphite. Stay with us. Marking time. That's how interdisciplinary artist Fahim Majid describes his latest tribute to the oldest African-American art center in the country. Arts correspondent Angel Edo shares more about how Majid is using graphite to mark the past, present, and the future of the Southside Community Arts Center.
It highlights the gallery. I just wanted to show people what I see when I come into that space.
For the past 8 decades, the Southside Community Arts Center has worked to serve Black creatives of all mediums. Its impact is one of the many reasons artist Fahim Majid is honoring the center in his latest project, a graphite rubbing of the entire building.
I don't see old wooden walls, I see like the ancestors kind of moving through the space. So really the graphite rubbing the exterior is one of many kind of explorations of the history of the space.
For 6 days, Majid and his team laid sheets across the building and used graphite to literally catch the moments in time.
And I had explained to them kind of how it works. Like, it's going to move on you. I mean, it's incredibly heavy. We had to do it in strips. The wind's going to blow. Like, it's going to get in your face and you move left to right. And by the time you come back, it's moved. But that's the point. It's kind of like trying to mark a second. It's trying to do a rubbing of a moment. When you see the piece, it doesn't look like a one-for-one. It is kind of like marking time. Like, I almost think of like photographs, but it's moving.
Now, Majid used the drawing material to document the inside of the center as well, creating a collection of interior rubbings ranging from the floors to the piano to the walls. Now, the graphite tribute stands on display at the Hyde Park Art Center as a way to bridge the gap between the two institutions and ideally propel the Southside Community Art Center to the level Majid believes it should be recognized.
They both came out that kind of had relationships with the Work Projects Administration, WPA, and they got government funding, like to find a space to support community and their neighboring communities. Right? So a lot of the artists that show here have shown at Hyde Park Art Center back and forth, but there haven't really been many formal exchanges.
Long term, Majid hopes this multi-layered exhibition helps people understand the role physical institutions play in not only shaping artists, but shaping communities.
It doesn't look like a building because the thing kind of unravels and you go, how do you wrap a column and do a rubbing and how do you do all that stuff? So it's kind of a explosive kind of thing and it moves. So one column will turn into three. And I think that's a really great analogy for thinking of working in a cultural space like this, in that it's always moving and changing.
For Chicago Tonight, I'm Angel Ito.
The full graphite rubbing is now on display at the Hyde Park Art Center until July 24th. And that's our show for this Sunday night. Be sure to check out our website, WTTW.com/news, for the very latest from WTTW News, including details on the Chicago Park District's new headquarters that's opening on the South Side. And join Paris Schutz and me tomorrow at 7 on Chicago Tonight. Will City Council members vote to create an elected oversight board for Chicago Police? Plus, art, history, and dance lessons with the Lipizzan Stallions in a new performance. Now, for all of us here at Chicago Tonight, I'm Brandis. All of us here at Chicago Tonight, Black Voices. I'm Brandis Friedman. Thank you for sharing part of your weekend with us. Stay healthy and safe, and have a good night.
Closed captioning is made possible by Robert A. Clifford and Clifford Law Offices, a Chicago personal injury and wrongful death firm that supports free educational initiatives in the legal profession.